I'm joined here today by the one and only Byelka Soto, set to fight for Invicta coming up real soon, making her professional debut. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm good, Lucas. Thanks for having me.
Of course, but before we get started, though, I want to hear a little bit about your journey in MMA because it sounds like it's a little complicated, right? You have your kids, you have your job, and everything. First things first, how did you get started in MMA?
I got started in MMA back in 2011. I was a senior in high school, fresh out of high school. I was a wrestler. I was a state champion in Texas, and I felt like I needed a little more. I felt like I wanted more mat time, so I looked for a local gym. I'm from El Paso, Texas, but I'm currently living in Denver. So I went and I looked for a gym, and that's I seen a MMA team and they told me that they had a fight. It was like a quick turnaround. I started training and they had a fight for me like within 3 months. And I was in shape, so I said, "What the heck, let's do it." And I ended up winning that fight. So it gave me that fire, like in wrestling, that I wanted more. So I trained for a little bit, but then I had my kids, so I had to take a long. I had 3 kids, so I didn't come back to the mats probably till 2016 from 2011. So I took a long break.
So, what happened during that break that led you to eventually coming back? Was it just something itching, something that you were thinking about, or like what was it that eventually drew you back? 5 years later.
Um, I always wanted to be a fighter, and I, after having my third kid, I felt like I gained so much weight. And to start off, I went to a boxing gym, to AFA boxing, and I wanted to start off just lose weight. And as well as when I started, these coaches told me that I had potential, and that they were willing to find me a fight. So when I started back, I was probably like at 180 pounds,
Oh
and
yeah.
then they told me that I was gonna be fighting at 135, and I thought it was gonna be impossible, but it happened. I actually cut all the way down to 135, and that's my fight weight right now. So I've been sticking with it.
And so, how did the weight come off? Did you have to kind of change your diet? Were you just training so much that eventually it came off by itself? How did that process go?
I started when I joined that boxing gym. I started doing like gym sessions in the morning before work, and I started working out a lot. But I also had to change my diet. Having 3 kids, it's not easy to eat healthy just because they want snacks at all times. So
Chicken
I had
nuggets
to
and
put
yeah.
in that extra effort to be able to cut down to what my goal was. And my coach at that time, Fidel Martinez, he made it clear what I needed to do in order for me to be able to fight and be able to get on that ring or octagon again. So he kind of led me on the right path. Well, not kind of, he did, to cut all that weight. And I mean, it was just by diet and exercising like double that what I was doing on my own.
So, what was it that made you want to turn professional? Is it your coaches? Is it yourself? You realized that you want to turn this into kind of a career. What was it that made you turn pro?
So I was 9-1 as an amateur. I felt like, you know, I'm not ready to quit to all that time I put or taken away from my kids and all that, all the school stuff that I've missed from them. I just feel like it has to pay off somehow. And I just, I've taken a couple of breaks where I'm like, okay, maybe this is enough, but I still have that itch where I'm like, this is not enough. I can't just sit at home and be a normal mom, I guess, and
Yeah.
just, I feel like I have to do something. I feel like I have to, my goal is to get to the UFC. So, that's what me and my coaches are working for. Me signing on with Invicta, this was a big goal of mine. So we've accomplished that. So now we're just waiting for the call so I could do my debut for them. And I feel like once I get there, I have to make a statement to show everybody that this is where I belong.
And so, being that you're a mom with 3 kids, we know discipline is a big thing. But now that you're a professional fighter, is there like, I assume your kids have to be super well behaved, right? Knowing that their mom beats up other grown women for a living, like you have that certain fear that's instilled in them.
Well, not fear, but um, I guess they're well behaved, and when they go to the gym with me and all of that, my coaches have that authority as well to, if
Right.
they're being bad, I'm like, coach, tell them to sit down, or like they help out. So my support system, my coaches, my parents, my husband, everybody around me like really supports what I do. So I get help from everybody around me. Even my job, my 9 to 5 job, they sponsored me before for my fights and all of that. So everybody around me kind of knows what I'm doing, and they help me out. So that's a big plus for me.
And so you were an amateur. Obviously, your last fight against Coates was obviously a very big win. How was it getting that signing with Invicta? Were you someone that they'd been looking at before? Did your management reach out to them? How did the signing happen?
So I currently signed on with LCA Sports Management, and I told them that that was my goal. I fought Chantel, and she signed after my win to her, she signed to Invicta, and I just felt like, well, maybe it's my time. There's a couple of girls that I trained with that I fought and that they're signed on. So I talked to Lamont, my manager, and I told him that I felt like that I was ready, to sign on with Invicta, that if, we could work something out. So we did. He made it happen. So now we're signed on and we're just waiting. I'm ready. Um, I know everything is backed up for them because of COVID, and there's girls that need to be put in the rosters or whatever. But I'm waiting my turn patiently, but I'm eager for it.
And so, what's kind of the career path for you in fighting? Because we know that you have your 9 to 5, you have your family, of course, your kids and everything. You have a lot to juggle. What's the career path with MMA? Is that turning MMA into the new full time job? Like, what's kind of your career plan as you turn pro?
Um, I do plan on leaving my 9 to 5 job. That's a plan, but having 3 kids, I can't just rely on MMA or fighting
Right.
right now, just because it doesn't provide financially. It doesn't provide what I need or what I need to give my kids. So I always, I have to work double right now just to be able to do what I want to do, which is fighting. And I have to be responsible enough to know that I need that backup plan for if that doesn't work out, I have something for my kids. But as soon as I make it happen where, I accomplish my goals and get the fights that I want, that are going to make me get a little closer, or start making a little better money, fighting, I will start working less hours and put more time into, dedicate myself more to the gym. But right now I'm kind of just playing it out smart. I still train and all of that, but I just need that backup plan right now, just in case anything. I'm, you know,
And so, how do you kind of juggle everything? Do you have like a very strict schedule for when you do everything? Like, what's kind of your method of juggling all this stuff you have going on in your life?
so my husband helps out with the kids in the morning. I leave the house way before they even wake up. I go train and just at a, local gym in the morning, get my cardio in and all of that. I get home, I get my kids ready for school, and um, I actually have them in a school by my office. That way I'm able to drop them off. I pick them up right when they're done with school. We live 45 minutes away from my office, so we drive back home. I feed them, and my parents thankfully just moved to Colorado from Texas, so they're able to help me out with childcare a lot. So they stay at home with my mom now, but I head to the gym, and when they were in here, my kids would just be at the gym with me all the time. So they were little gym rats with me as well. They would take their homework to the gym. They would probably drive my coaches insane, but they would be there. Um, I I guess I just do what I have to do, because it's something that I want to do, and if I want it bad enough, I'm gonna make it happen.
For sure. Realistically, when do you think you can expect to make your debut? Is this something that's going to get pushed back to 2021? I mean, what's kind of the plan at this point?
Um, Talking to my managers, they told me that hopefully by the end of November, there's nothing set in stone. We've been looking, for fights, but nothing nothing is set in stone. So hopefully, fingers crossed by end of November, going into December. But if not, they said hopefully they'll have something for the beginning of 2021. and I'll be ready. I'll be ready for whatever and whoever wants to fight.
All right, and one last question. Realistically, is there someone that you'd like to face in your debut, or at this point, is it just about, getting through with the debut?
At this point, I would take anyone. I did talk to Fansided yesterday, and I told them that it would be nice to, like, not calling anyone out, but I think that Claire, we were supposed to fight in February for a local promotion for SCL, but she took an Invicta fight instead. So I think that would be a pretty good show. I know she's tough, and I know, I'm tough as well. So I think that would be a good show for everybody watching, and you know, maybe they could make that happen. I know she hasn't fought probably in the past 2 months, but
Yeah,
that
I
would be
mean,
pretty cool.
there we go. Listen, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it. And hopefully we see you make your debut sooner rather than later.
Thank you, Lucas.